Welcome to Guitar Lessons as put on by Riffs and Beyond. Today I'm going to just get right to it. I'm assuming that you have a guitar in your hand. So there's a few things we need to cover right off the bat in order for us to be talking in the same lingo and language. So first of all, I want to go over some of the things you're going to need. Right off the bat, you're going to need obviously a guitar, but when you string your guitar with the strings, I think it's highly important at the very beginning to get yourself some extra light strings. So if you're using an acoustic with steel strings, you want to probably start off with a gauge 10 or 11. So if you just remember those numbers and go to the music store and ask for either a gauge 10 or 11 for your acoustic, you'll probably be fine. You can go for bronze or phosphor bronze. If you go for the bronze, you're going to find that it's very bright. It has a very bright sound to it, but they tend to lose that brightness very quickly, whereas the phosphor bronze will last a little bit longer. They won't be as bright at the beginning, but they'll, like I said, last a bit longer. So that's probably the best one you want to go for at the very beginning. And like I said, you want to look for either 10s or 11s. And that gauge number is actually referring to the thickness of the highest string down here. But it also gauges the rest of the strings. So if you ask for 9s for electric or 10s and 11s for acoustic, you will get an extra light set of strings. The reason you want to go for that is going to cut into your hands a little bit less. You're going to be asking your hand to do a lot of things that you obviously haven't been doing. So you got to get over a few physical humps in order to play the guitar properly. You're going to find discomfort in the wrist as well as the fingertips at the very beginning. So like I said, if you use extra light strings, it'll be a little bit less. The other thing too that you want to invest in is a pick, a series of picks. You can experiment with this. It's very subjective. Everybody has their own taste on what they like. So try a few, but basically you're going to be looking at a light pick, a medium, and a heavy pick. This particular one is a 1mm. It's a little bit on the heavy side, but I like picks with a little bit of substance because it adds to your accuracy when you're playing. But certainly you can go less than that if you feel comfortable with it. You can get them, like a Dunlop pick here is nylon. There's lots of different brands that use nylon as well as plastic and a thing called tortoiseshell. So like I said, experiment with what you want to do there. You can also get finger picks, but for what I'm going to be covering here, you really aren't going to be using that. So get yourself what is known as a flat pick. That's what this is. Okay. Now, the next thing you want to invest in is a tuner. And the reason why you want to get an electronic tuner, we will eventually be going over how to tune the guitar using just the frets or using a thing called harmonics. But for now, get yourself an electronic tuner. And the reason why is because it's going to make it that much easier. And there are certain brands and models out there that I prefer. The one that I think is one of the better ones is by Korg, and it's the GA series. Here's an example of one right here. And with this one here, as you use it, when you tune each string, it'll actually display on the display what string you're playing. A lot of guitar lessons and stuff that I've seen, have different ways for you to remember what the names of the strings are. But as you're tuning, you're going to find that this will display whatever string you're playing. This particular model, it's only like 19 bucks, but this particular model is not chromatic, and that's key. You want to get one that's not chromatic, because what it ends up doing is it ends up displaying and reading only the 6 notes of the strings that you're going to need to tune. So especially at the very beginning for beginners, it's ideal. So that is the Korg, and like I said, it's the GA series. This is I think a GA40. There's also a GA30 as well. The other thing that you're going to want to eventually get is one of these things called a capo. And what a capo is, it's basically a clamp. I'll get up close again on this one so you can see it. There it is there. And it's just a clamp. And what it is you squeeze it, you place it on the guitar somewhere, straight across the frets, strings, sorry, 1 fret straight across the strings. And as you can hear, depending on where you put it, it makes the strings ring out higher. That'll become evidently important when we get down the road a bit. The other thing you're going to want to get is what I call a peg winder. I don't have mine with me right now, but basically it's a thing that slips over the pegs here. These are your tuning pegs. And basically it winds it and makes it much easier and much quicker to tune. So that's totally optional if you want to get that, but I use mine all the time because it's just quicker. As far as changing the strings, again, that's subjective, but it depends really on how much you're playing and the type of strings you've got, and also the makeup, the chemical makeup on your body. Everybody produces oils off their fingers, and as you play, those oils are going to get on the strings, interact with the strings, and eventually oxidize and deaden the strings. So I would suggest about every 2 months, 3 at the outside, that you need to be changing your strings. And again, when you're talking about changing strings, you can get the guy at the shop, at the guitar shop, to show you how to do that. It's pretty straightforward, but if you need some help, that's probably where you need to go. The other thing you want to know is your hand here. Now I'm going to be describing a lot of things of how to play guitar and certain things that we're going to be going over. So I'm going to be referring to frets, which is a position here on the neck, and I'm also going to be referring to fingers. So it's important that you understand that this is your first finger. Your index finger is number 1. Your middle finger is number 2. Your ring finger is number 3, and your pinky finger is number 4. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And of course, that's the thumb. So yeah, that's it for what you're going to need to get started. So we'll move on to the next module on how to hold a pick and how to hold the guitar. See you then.